Hi, everyone, and welcome to Autodesk Virtual Academy. For those of you who are returning viewers, welcome back. And for those of you who are brand new to this, welcome. And first off, I'm Nigel Mbayak, application engineer here at KETIV Technologies, and your host for today. And today we're going to have a great session. So we have, as you can read here on your screen, what's new in Autodesk Inventor 2018. So 2018 released a couple of weeks ago, and the product managers at Autodesk, including one who's going to be our guest here today, have been working on it for quite a while and have included a ton of great features and functionality into this particular version. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you have any questions at any time, go ahead and post those into the GoToWebinar chat panel, and we'll be able to address those either at the end of the session or during the session if they're applicable. Today we've got Lauren Welch, product manager from Autodesk, joining us on the webcast. So good morning, Lauren. How's it going?
Morning, Nigel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So if you guys do recognize that voice, Lauren has done a lot of our Inventor update AVAs for us, Autodesk Virtual Academies, and we're happy to have them whenever we can. So today's going to be a great session. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Lauren, and let's get started.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Nigel. And again, thanks everybody for joining today. Inventor 2018 was released back on March 21st, and what you're seeing over the next few weeks is we're rolling out the different language packs as well as the combined installers for our suites customers. So if you're in your accounts page and you haven't seen Inventor 2018 yet, it will be there shortly. But we wanted to give as many people access to the software as it became available. So those that have standalone Inventor or collections customers should have access to 2018 now. And again, suites customers, which are the majority of our customers, will start having access over the next few weeks. But if you have any questions, of course, reach out to KETIV, and we can definitely get you going. So with that, let's talk a little bit about Inventor 2018. So I just wanted to let everybody know kind of where we're going with a theme of Inventor 2018 and the areas of focus we had in the development side of it. As Nigel said, I'm a product manager on the Inventor team. I'm one of 5 product managers on Inventor, and I wanted to get a chance to talk to you about not only what's in the product, but how we came to some of these decisions on what we're putting into it. So at the end, we will have time for additional Q&A, but as Nigel mentioned, if you have questions as we're going through, feel free to type them in the window so you don't forget them, and we'll make sure we get to as many questions as possible. So let's go ahead and talk about Inventor 2018. So with Inventor 2018, we had a direct focus on some very specific areas relevant to our customers and to the industries we serve, and primarily was thinking about how we can address areas around professional grade design, core functionality our users use every day, how to make that quicker, more responsive, and add new functionality that's really important to what people are looking to do as they look to improve their processes and product design workflows. The other area is this idea of expanded interoperability. More and more customers have to work in these multidisciplinary teams. They're dealing with data from a variety of sources, a variety of formats, and we really want to make sure that we give them a platform that enables them to work with all kinds of data and all kinds of data sources. So the first area I really want to talk about, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, is about professional grade design. And here we're talking a lot about this core functionality, sketching, part design. Obviously, we get into some unique things with our sheet metal design. And a big area of focus this year was performance. How can we make large assembly design workflows of the part or the assembly and the drawing side even more responsive for customers as they build larger and more complex assembly designs inside of Inventor. And a new area of functionality is this idea of model-based definition and 3D annotation. So these are some areas that we would consider professional grade design, core functionality that both users use every day and that are really trying to fit the core industries we serve. The next thing we'll talk about is MBD, or model-based definition. And what this is really talking about is new functionality we've added to allow our users to keep all the manufacturing information in a single model, a single Inventor part file. And what this is letting our users do is expand this usage of their model downstream. We have an open API with the model-based definition functionality, And this allows people that are using downstream, NC machining, CMM for quality, to really work directly off of this 3D model in a much more intelligent way, because all of the GD&T and tolerance information is all going to be included in that 3D model. So we've built it to a variety of specifications. We've worked based on the NIST standards, and we've worked with a lot of the European standards bodies as well to make sure that we're fitting not only the industry need, but user workflow needs. And so it's really enabling all of these downstream processes directly off your 3D model. So not necessarily new in concept, but I've been in the industry over 20 years, and when I started, everybody was talking about paperless, and we're 20 years later, and there's really not a lot of paperless. But MBD is one of those things that really will enable our users to move into a paperless environment and really streamline their workflows. So clearly you'll be able to do what we call just derivative outputs, where you can make your 2D drawing and you can leverage the 3D annotations to predefine, with design views in your assembly, or with your Inventor part files with design views. You can go to 3D PDF or Step 4.2, or you can go directly to CAM and CMM that are able to accept this type of data. So when we talk about our approach on the Inventor side to model-based definition, it is unique in the industry as far as how we're approaching it. We make it so we're automatically recognizing tolerance features, and we're using an embed GD&T engine from Sigmetrics. So this workflow allows our designers to create fully constrained models that can be reliably used downstream. And what we're really looking for is ways to help users into this new way of defining their models. So we've added a tolerance advisor into the functionality with our 3D annotations and model-based definition. And we give users the ability to kind of step their way into this environment of leveraging the model downstream. So they can use, the model-based definition on their parts to predefine, their drawing views and help make 2D drawings faster. But they can also export 3D PDFs to really give people on the shop floor a much more interactive way to look at models as they go through the machining operations and steps. And then we have some people that will go right to the pure paperless workflow, leveraging the native Inventor file or the step AP242 format to get this model-based engineering data throughout their processes. So let's take a look at what we've really done at the part level with model-based definition in Inventor 2018. So on the ribbon, we've got a new Annotate tab, and it allows us to select multiple surfaces or faces that we can define based on what we're looking to do. So you can easily select and place these annotations, and you can start defining your model. It also automatically or intelligently recognizes types of geometry. Here, by selecting a single face, I can tell it's actually a slot, and it finds the corresponding geometry. So here, not only can I start placing the dimensions and the tolerances, but I can start defining this in a much more intelligent manner than just a straight dimension. You can also leverage the existing dimensions you have in your sketches and promote them into the 3D environment. Here you can see we have our tolerance advisor that tells us we're missing things to really define this geometry on the 3D model. So here, it's a great way for us to add the different tolerance types, and we can also go ahead and add things like our maximum and least material conditions, and really start defining this model. Here you can see leveraging design views. I can predefine as simple as front, top, and right view, but also detail views, section views, whole notes, things like that I can predefine. So when I go to publish a 3D PDF, I can customize this template or use the defaults that ship with Inventor, and I can have that same annotation, and as you select the annotation, it highlights the geometry inside of the 3D PDF. If I'm leveraging or sharing data outside of, say, the Autodesk ecosystem, but I still want the model-based definition data to go with it, that's where the Step 242 format is really, really helpful. It is kind of the generic standard for a model-based definition. Inside of the drawing environment, as you lay out your drawings as you normally would, you can actually now just go ahead and insert the 3D annotations directly into those views that you predefined in the model. So a lot of great things in model-based definition to help streamline processes you might have in today or processes you're looking at implementing at your organization tomorrow. Another area of focus was sheet metal. We've had multi-body sheet metal for quite some time now, But one of the things we see as people go to do designs like you see on the screen, like this enclosure, is those might be different materials. Those might be different gauges of the same material. And so now with Inventor 2018, we allow our users to actually have different sheet metal rules per body. So this allows our users to lay out a complete sheet metal design with multiple sheet metal thicknesses, multiple sheet metal rules for flat patterns, all in the same part file. Obviously, here's a parent part file, and you can from there do a make component, and you can link back to those sheet metal styles, and you can insert flat patterns for each of those. But again, this parent multi-body sheet metal part would contain all of the bodies as well as the different rules that govern them. And as you're creating new features in your sheet metal environment, like faces, contour flanges, rolls, etc., you can pre-designate those to use your new sheet metal rules that vary from the default sheet metal rule in the parent part file. So a lot of really nice things here for our sheet metal customers who are doing a lot of complex multi-body sheet metal part design. In sketching, it was really about taking a look at how we handle projected geometry, sketch references, and really focusing on the robustness of edit workflows. So we've been able to project geometry, for forever, right? But one of the biggest things we really wanted to take a look at is really streamlining workflows and saving our users, mouse clicks and time. So as traditionally you'd project geometry and then you dimension to it or constrain to it. But now we've made it so when you're in the dimension command, you're constraining sketch geometry to 3D geometry, that projection happens automatically now. So it just saves you the additional steps it takes in the past to project and then go ahead and constrain to it. We've also really increased the robustness as you begin to edit your 3D geometry, or you have to start editing the sketch plane at which you created your sketch. So as you start moving your sketch planes from one face to another, geometry is updating where those projected references now might change to a different angle. We've really made it so those projections stay intact, as well as the dimension constraints that are tied to them. So it's really about robustness and saving our users time and effort as they go through these. A big area of focus for Inventor 2018 was performance. I mean, everybody knows your design system can never be fast enough. And so we talked to thousands of users globally. We did a lot of surveys online. We met with a lot of customers face-to-face. We had a lot of events with our channel partners and directly with our customers around what areas of performance would be most impactful to them. And really the big areas were things that are not surprising, right? They needed their drawings to update faster. They needed open and save to be faster. They needed to interact with their model in a much more agile manner. And those are the areas we really focused on with 2018. And by no means are we done focusing on performance, but this is kind of the start of things that you'll want to keep your eye on with updates in the future. So one of the biggest things is we've made it much easier during the open command to open in full or express mode. We've changed the performance on the hidden lines removed view display to make that much more user-friendly and much more performant. With view navigation, things like zoom, pan, and orbit, we've went to this incremental graphics. So as you set your preferred frame rate from a performance standpoint, as you're rotating or zooming in and out, we actually disable some of the small graphics and let you move things and rotate things much faster. And then we've added additional workflows with existing tools like assembly interference analysis, where you can start treating sub-assemblies as individual parts from an interference perspective. You can ignore certain interferences that maybe you want to be interferences, like press fits, things like that. And you can also go ahead and start looking at interference between threaded fasteners and holes. So you can start seeing if there's an interference just between thread types, between those types of geometries. We continue that to the drawing side, where now when you open a drawing, you can open it in defer update mode. So it's loading the model, or it's not loading the model, rather, as you open the drawing. So if you just need to open a drawing quick to view and annotate, or after you open it, if you need to load the model, you can uncheck defer updates and load the full model directly from the browser. Things like view scale, view placement, and preview have all been enhanced to have much much quicker response time and much easier for the user. And same thing with the view navigation with zoom and pan in the drawing level. We've made it so users have a much easier time and much more responsive time doing these things with their assemblies. So here we'll take a quick look at what we're talking about. So starting right away, just through File Open, you have the quick drop-down menu to load in full or express mode. And if you haven't used express mode in a few releases, I encourage you to take a look at it. It loads the needed geometry to get the model up on the screen. And as you start selecting or editing geometry, it loads it fully as needed from a part or a component standpoint. In Inventor 2018, we've made it much more responsive with selection and on-screen graphics. In the drawing environment, as you start editing or placing views, you can see they'll be much faster than in prior years. Again, we can open a full drawing in defer update mode, and you'll see on the browser there's a lightning bolt. So if we need to fully load the model, we simply right-click and fully load that model. When we're placing new views, you can simply turn off the preview to really place the view much more quickly without having to generate that preview. And then, of course, once you place it, it then rasters and renders out. So again, those are some of the highlights from a performance standpoint. And of course, what really matters is how it works on your data sets. So as you load Inventor 2018 and you start testing your large assemblies, we definitely want to continue to hear feedback from our users on performance questions and feedback. The second big focus area on Inventor 2018 is really about this expanded interoperability. You've seen over the last few releases, we've introduced things like our BIM Content on Demand, where we can leverage Configurator 360 to publish out Revit or IFC files. We've expanded AnyCAD to different formats, as well as neutral files like STEP. And then we've taken things like mesh files and really made them much more usable in your 3D design environment. So the idea with Inventor 2018 rather, is to really double down on that and really build out on these strengths. So with AnyCAD, we've added Inventor as a format in AnyCAD. And what we're really talking about there is the ability for 2017 users to be able to leverage 2018 data. So it's kind of this first step into a backwards compatibility where you can access data across versions. So this is, in using AnyCAD as the catalyst for that is really important. We've also made it so directly through the BIM content workflows, we've streamlined the simplification tool, the Shrinkwrap tool in Inventor, and given users the ability to publish directly to Revit or IFC from within Inventor. And then lastly, with mesh files, now as you include scan or mesh data into your assembly files, you can also take them directly into your drawing environment as well. So the first thing we'll talk about is Shrinkwrap. So we've consolidated onto a single Shrinkwrap tool. And again, this is an example of, we don't do change for the sake of change. We took this opportunity to consolidate to a single Shrinkwrap tool and to really improve this tool holistically and give users much more functionality in a tool that was highly requested. So the first thing is you can leverage your existing design views or LODs to help predefine some of the simplification of your model. Inside of the new Shrinkwrap command, you can easily preview components that are going to be included or excluded as part of your simplification. And you can actually even start taking it down from the component level where you can start evaluating features on individual components, whether you want to close gaps, remove features of size, remove parts. And we give users a nice preview all within the assembly environment before you go ahead and create this final Shrinkwrapped model. That Shrinkwrap is kind of the first step in our BIM content workflow if that's an industry you're in. So you're leveraging that same Shrinkwrap tool that's in the standard assembly toolbar, and we've improved the overall workflow, not only for authoring BIM content, but when you're done and you're exporting these building components, you can go directly to IFC or to Revit RFA format from within Inventor. So it saves you the step of going to some other third-party format to get files natively into Revit. So here we'll talk a little bit more about this. So here we can see this large air handling unit, and with some iLogic, they're able to configure this large unit based on customer request. But now, directly in the BIM content environment, our users are now able to leverage this single Shrinkwrap tool, where they can start taking a look at their different design views, levels of detail, and turn those on and off and get a quick preview of what internal components are going to be removed and which ones are going to be included in this final design. We can take a look at the entire assembly and drill down to the features of the individual components and actually do things like here it's removing parts and also removing holes. Here it'll patch everything up, and so we have a nice airtight solid, and we can save this off as an IFC or an RFA file to be opened directly inside of Revit or any other BIM tool. When we talk about mesh files, as mentioned before, we've been able to take mesh files and bring them into our assemblies, be able to constrain them, use them in motion studies, interference, things like that. Now what we're able to do is at the drawing side, not only can you have a drawing view and include the mesh bodies, you can annotate to have them show up, the ballooning for your bill of materials, different things like that. But you can also dimension to this mesh data. So if you need to show a dimension in the drawing of this mesh data, Inventor does a really nice job of allowing you to have this nice mixed drawing view that includes not only our mesh data, but also our BREP solid data as well. The next thing we'll talk about is this idea of backwards compatibility. So here I'm able to, as a 2017 user, once you download the 2017.4 compatibility pack, you're able to take an assembly that's a 2017 format, and you're actually able to then insert 2018 files directly into it. And again, this is a standard AnyCAD workflow. So it really helps users that are either using multiple formats in a single organization, or if you are a customer that maybe one of your suppliers went to 2018 before you had migrated. So it gives you that ability to work across versions within Inventor. Another area with AnyCAD that we've made improvements is with this downstream feature consumption. So what we're really talking about here is when you read an AnyCAD file at the part level. So here you can see an example of where using direct editing tools, we've plugged up some holes and taken it from a finished to maybe like an as cast version. From there, if the native file is updated, those changes get consumed, and these Inventor features that you added to the AnyCAD file will go ahead and continue to be added to even the updated file. So we've really done a lot with the downstream feature consumptions. You can add new parametric or direct edited features to those AnyCAD data and have it propagate downstream. We've also added updates with the DWG Underlay with AnyCAD. So now it can be inserted directly into the assembly file and be treated essentially as a placed component. So you can add joints and constraints to it and place it within a face or a plane inside of your assembly environment. Here we'll have a nice kind of overview of some of the AnyCAD enhancements. So the first thing we'll do here is we'll bring in a Creo assembly into our Inventor 2018 assembly. So as we bring it in and place it, just the standard AnyCAD workflows, you can place the non-native assembly, you can add joints and constraints to place it into your assembly. And in this case, what we'll notice is that some of the bolts that we have in place to secure this assembly, this motor into place, actually have some interference with the existing Inventor data. So what we've been able to do with AnyCAD is now we can just go in and we're going to add new parametric features. We're going to add new cutouts, new clearance holes. So when we mount this motor into our Inventor assembly, we don't have any interference with our existing bolts. Pretty straightforward and pretty easy. But what happens when the user back in Creo decides to update that motor? So this is a new standard motor that they're updating, and we have to make sure that any changes we made to that model from a machining operation on our end in Inventor also updates. So AnyCAD, of course, is going to alert us that that file reference has changed. So we run an update, and what you'll notice is that those holes, those clearance holes, update automatically based on the updated non-native geometry. If we're in Inventor 2017.4, here we can open up an Inventor 2018 file and place it inside of our 2017 assembly. The nice thing here is it has an AnyCAD reference, just like it was done, and then once you move to 2018, then it just becomes a natural 2018 file. Here we'll show an example of using mesh data at the assembly level and in the drawing. So here I've got a mesh file and I've got it here in the drawing. And as I create all my views, section views, detail views, front, top, right, etc., it all supports that mesh file. We can also add things like annotations and dimensions. It's not just being supported in the view, it's being supported of the entire workflow. So you can see in the bottom right, there's some balloons that go to that mesh file, and we can also add dimensions where appropriate as well. Starting with 2017, we've done a lot of work to the presentation environment. 2018, we continued to do work on that based on user feedback. So now we support surface geometry inside of the presentation environment, and we made a lot of enhancements to the timeline to allow for multiple edit actions to happen at once, whether you're doing group selection in the timeline or kind of Boolean all before, all after selections to perform these edit activities is all supported in the timeline. One of the last areas I want to cover with the time remaining is probably my favorite. It's really what we call this Inventor experience. And it's really twofold. It's, Inventor 2018, we continue to have this focus on customer ideas request. If you haven't been to the Inventor Ideas page, I highly encourage you to do it. We have Inventor development staff on there every day. And it's really a way for you to give us direct feedback to the product development team on an ongoing basis. But we've also, so we take that and we're very transparent in ideas that you post, ideas that we accept, and when they're implemented into the product. The second idea of this Inventor experience is as we look to redo or refresh commands, we don't want to just change things, as I said before, for the sake of change sake. What we really want to do is we want to, if we're going to change something, to give users a lot more functionality, streamline their workflows as those changes are made. And great example of that is the browser. The browser is one of the most interacted with commands in all of Inventor. I think it's, it's actually in the top 5. Browser scrolling is number 2 of any command people do is scrolling in the browser. So if we're going to impact something that's that heavily used, we really wanted to go at something that gave users a lot more functionality and power. So we've added this new search capability from directly within the browser. So you've got this nice keyword search you can start typing. You can predefine in filters for unresolved files or references if you're in an assembly environment. If you're in a part environment, you might be searching for a feature name or a certain I property. And that's the thing. You're not just searching for the browser node or what the part name is in your browser. If you're in the assembly, it looks through I properties. It looks through part names. It looks through browser names. It looks through constraints. It looks through all of these things and allows you to do a really in-depth, really search very quickly and easily. We've also added this new concept of tabs. So you can dock your browser and you can add these new tabs for things like iLogic, reps, Vault, etc. And you can stack these tabs on top of each other. You can dock them in different areas of Inventor, or you can dock them outside of Inventor on a different monitor even. So it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you can get information displayed on a regular basis inside of Inventor. The next thing we've taken a look at is with that same idea of kind of these panels or tabs that you saw in the browser, is to be able to expand that. So Measure was a tool we've been looking to redo based on user feedback for quite a while. And so you saw some incremental increases or enhancements with it in Inventor 2017, and we've just really overhauled it completely in 2018. So we have this new consolidated single measure command. We went from 4 commands to 1, and we've taken it and really leveraging this new panel experience. It's something you can turn on next to your browser. You can dock it in other areas of Inventor if you want. And we give you this feature-rich display of any geometry you're measuring. So we've really improved the in-canvas graphics and feedback, so you can see on the geometry you're measuring. We also added things like perimeter calculation, maximum distance. We default to center. We show minimum distance, dual units. You can also copy a single value out of the measure panel or all of those and paste them in other operations as you see fit. Any of the precision or dual unit settings you do in a particular document are persistent between Inventor sessions as well. There's a ton of other Inventor ideas that users have given us. directly through the ideas page that we've implemented into the product. So common tools like extrude and chamfer have been enhanced with partial chamfer and this offset from face extrude option. The hole command, we've added quite a bit of functionality. We've added this bi-directional option for a through all for your holes. We've also done this extend start. So if you're doing any type of hole next to any fillet or any overhanging geometry, you'll notice that sometimes you have to do 2 operations to clean things out, and we've really streamlined that process. Whether you're doing, for bolt clearance with a 0 depth spot face, or you have a countersunk that's going across the fillet, etc. We've done a lot of things to help clean that up and streamline user workflows. We've done a lot of things with the parameter dialog. So now there's this consumed by column. So as you select features in the screen, it'll switch to just the parameters that are relevant to that particular feature. There's also a quick pick filter at the bottom where you can say by feature and look at parameters for specific features, which is really great as you start looking at very complex assembly or part designs. The important thing to remember with Inventor Ideas, it's really a core part of our DNA on Inventor now. We love seeing users' ideas, and we love seeing users be able to put their thumbprint on a product that they use every day. And this is something we will continue doing. And if you really look at it from after the release of Inventor 2017, we put over 50 user enhancements into the product since last March. And with this release, we've continued to add even more. So I encourage you to leverage the Inventor Ideas page and again, put your thumbprint on Inventor. So here's a nice just video quickly showing some of the highlights of how some of these commands work. The partial chamfer is really great. There's just a partial tab in the new chamfer in the chamfer command, and you can simply drag or put in direct parametric values to what you want that partial chamfer length and offsets to be. Very easy and very quick to kind of pick up. When you look at the offset from face option, you can sketch essentially on any plane, and then you can offset the geometry or the extrude from even a non-planar face, a specified distance inside of your design. Here's some nice examples with the hole command. So again, we've added this, this bi-directional through all, which really helps. Instead of taking 2 holes, now you can just do the single hole with that through all. As we look at some of the other extend start options, one of the things that was a big feedback point for users is when they're doing things where essentially the spot face was just a clean out area for a washer or bolt location. They want to be able to do a 0 depth. And so it's just what we allowed is this 0 depth spot face. And you can see here, it just cleans out where those fillets are. Here, we've got a counter sunk hole that goes across fillets or overhanging geometry. So we have this extend start option that just cleans it out. And on the drawing side, be remiss not to talk about some of the options here. Like with bill of materials sorting, you can now sort by string versus alphanumeric. And the measure tool is probably one of my favorite tools we've refreshed in 2018. By all means, if you get a chance, just take a look at all the data and information you get through the measure command, which again is one of the most popularly used commands to date. On-screen graphics have been greatly improved to see where the measurements are going in between. Clicking on white space resets the command without having to exit. And again, you can copy some or all of this data onto your clipboard directly out of the panel. So that's kind of my summary. As far as accessing Inventor 2018, if you've got the Autodesk desktop application, you'll get a notification when it's ready for you on your Autodesk accounts page. If you don't have the Autodesk desktop application, just log into your Autodesk account at manage.autodesk.com. And again, if you're a Suites customer, you'll have access to it here in the next couple of weeks. If you're a standalone Inventor customer or a collections customer, you should have access to it today. I can't stress enough how much we value and take very seriously our user feedback. I would encourage you to go to the Inventor Ideas page and look at other users' ideas and vote for them, or enter your own that you think would be a good idea that would help yourself and other users. The Inventor feedback community is a great place for you to access, different projects we do on the Inventor team where we have maybe alpha or beta builds of software that you can test out. And again, we have development people on the Inventor team that are on both of these areas every day. With that, Nigel, I'll turn it over to you to talk about some of the update training KETIV is offering around Inventor 2018.
Certainly. Thanks, Lauren, again. Before we get into Q&A, just want to go over this real quick. We do have a special offering, just as Inventor 2018 has started coming out for users. We're doing a special update training for Inventor 2018 specifically. It's going to be comprised of a half-day session. You can choose to take it on the 26th or the 31st of May. We're going to go over a lot of the stuff that Lauren went over today in depth, do some, picks and clicks, how to actually use some of this new functionality. And, if you sign up by April 14th, it'll be $95. If you are viewing this on YouTube, on Facebook, or after the fact here on any of those social channels, the link will be in the description of said video wherever you are. So if you need more information on that, go ahead and click that link and you should get everything you need. And like I mentioned, it's going to be on the 26th or the 31st, half day of training. Going over all of this new functionality, stuff that Lauren has included in the presentation, and then a little bit more as well, going over exactly how to use those tools. So I think we can move on to Q&A.
So let's go ahead and take some Q&A. I'm going to just kind of go through the list here and answer them on the fly. If we don't get to any questions, I know we'll be able to download them, and we'll probably get to you guys individually with email. But let's see how many we can get through. So the first one is probably for you, Nigel. Will I be able to watch this presentation again later?
Yes, so it is being recorded right now. So hello, Mom, when you're watching this later. It'll be on our YouTube channel probably later this afternoon, at the latest tomorrow morning. And then if we do send out a follow-up email to this, we'll probably, if the video is available at that time, we'll leave a link for sure. All right.
So we've got one. Is it possible to shrink wrap and export to step? So yeah, when you do a shrink wrap, it actually makes a substitute part of your assembly. So you could save that file out. So it is one extra step, just a save, just an export as a different file format or a save as. But yes, you can do that. There's no shrink wrap to step command though.
So you have to go, just to reiterate, you have to shrink wrap it to a normal part file first, and then from that part file, choose to export as whatever CAD format you want.
Yep, exactly. See here, it says, what about 2016 files for AnyCAD? So as of today, the support of 2018 going backwards into prior versions is just with 2017.4 is where we're starting this with. Obviously, if you're on 2018, you'll be able to read in any prior version, 2017, 16, 15, 14, etc. That compatibility is always going to be there. It's with the older versions of Inventor reading in newer files. So we're starting out on this AnyCAD for Inventor with 2017.4, which will be released here in the next few days with Inventor 2018 files.
Exactly. And before I move on real quick, I'm seeing this question come in here at the bottom. Just to reiterate, that training is virtual, so it doesn't matter if you're not near our Brea office. You'll get a dedicated link for that training class, and you'll be able to take it from your desk. So just want to confirm that for those people who are asking.
Yep. So we have a question here. Does AnyCAD support CATIA assemblies? The children file need to be in the same folder as the assembly file. So yeah, so we do support the CATIA format. All of that data will have to be in the same folder structure. You'll have to have access to all the files in order to read those in.
Yep. And then if we want to just go over the ETA again for suite customers, just that question seems to be coming up a lot here, Lauren.
Yeah. So with suites customers, which are the majority of our customers, it's not just an Inventor installer, as you're well aware. It's a combined installer of not only Inventor, but the other products that comprise of the Product Design Suite. So if you have Product Design Suite or Factory Design Suite, you'll be able to get the 2018 version here in the next few weeks. So it shouldn't be too much longer, but I know we've got to get a combined installer out the door. So
exactly. And if you want to start using it today, I know some of our customers have already started doing this. You can install a trial of 2018 and use that until you get your 2018 suite serial number, and then plug that in when you need to. If you have any questions about how to do that, let us know. I'm more than happy to help with that process.
So I got a question. Can you sort the browser list order? I'm not quite sure what the question is. If that means can you sort like alphanumerically or by list or something like that inside of the browser. We haven't put sorting in per se. It's really about searching and finding data. But that's something I know some users have brought up, so I know it's something we're looking at.
Cool. And then this one came here from Paul. Are there any guided tutorials available for new functionality in 2018?
Definitely, and that's something I'm remiss for not talking about. I apologize. So, guided tutorials have added quite a bit of content specifically around 2018. So I know model-based definition, Shrinkwrap are two that I know specifically are really good for 2018 for new content. So I would encourage you as you install 2018 to take a look at guided tutorials to see what they have to offer based on the new functionality you might be looking for. Yep.
And if people don't know what guided tutorials are, if you want to go over that real quick, Lauren, essentially it's like built-in tutorials in Inventor that kind of replace like the standard tutorial that was there maybe many moons ago. And you can upload your own tutorials, use other users' uploaded tutorials, and learn the product through Inventor itself. Correct me if I'm wrong, or elaborate, I guess, Lauren.
No, it's correct. Yeah, you're spot on. Let's see here. I'm trying to get through all these really good questions here. So updates to the sketch environment were primarily around the projected geometry we have listed there. We've got a few questions on cable, wire, tube, and pipe harness functionality. So there hasn't been anything specific to those. I know those are bigger projects that we're researching right now. It's something that we're aware of. We're gathering a lot of customer feedback on what they'd like to see improvements on in those areas. But within 2018 release, nothing specific in those areas. So what versions of SolidWorks are supported with AnyCAD? So the 2018 release, we support up to SolidWorks 2017. So if you want to just re-verify all of the translator support we have, if you just go to the online help for Inventor under what's new, if you look at AnyCAD, you can it'll list like translator support, I believe is the link it's called, and it lists everything out. But it's always something we update as we update our translators. And says, does feature recognition work with AutoCAD or with AnyCAD? So I think there's some feature recognition utilities on the Exchange App Store. Again, it's not going to capture exact design intent and things like that, but you can use it. If you use it in conjunction with AnyCAD, just realize as you it's going to create an IPT file. So unless you do kind of like a derived workflow, you're going to lose that reference. So that's probably more of a complex answer than I can go through verbally, but something if you want more data on, I'd say feel free to follow up with the KETIV team. What versions of PTC Creo are supported with AnyCAD? Again, I would have to double check that online, but in our online help documentation, we list all of our translator support. I'm sure Nigel and team can get you guys a link for that.
Yep, and yeah, it'll probably go straight to me too. So yeah, I'll follow up for sure.
I have a question. How long will I have to wait for 2018 to show up in my Autodesk desktop app? As soon as it is available to you based on what your entitlements are, it'll pop up and give you a notification. So again, if you're a Suites customer, keep your eye on it for over the next couple weeks.
Yep, make sure you sign into the desktop app as well. If you don't sign into the desktop app, you won't know what your product allocation is. So definitely do that. If you that might actually just make it appear. I know that we went over that a little bit last week in an AVA session with Daniel. So definitely make sure you sign into the desktop app. It's pretty important for you to get the updates that are allocated to you.
Yep. So I know we're running long on time. I guess I'd ask you, Nigel, when you pull out the attendees to make sure we get a copy of all these questions. So if we need to follow up with people individually, we can.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, if anyone has any further questions that you don't remember now or they come up later, definitely email us here at KETIV. You can email questions@ketiv.com. And we'll be more than happy to address those questions as they come in. Or you can just Google us and you can reach out to us via phone or email. All right, so I think I just want to Just make sure, I'll give everyone, maybe another 10-15 seconds to put in any last minute questions, see if we can address those. Definitely thank you all for being here today. For those of you who are returning, thanks for supporting us and coming back every week. It's definitely not possible if there is no audience. That's one. And two, if you are here for the first time, definitely welcome, and we hope to see you in a couple of more sessions here in the future. Just want to iterate, next week's AVA is going to be what is new in Vault 2018. So for those people who are using Vault, or you're thinking about using Vault, make sure you come to that session. There is a change though. It is not on Thursday at 10 a.m. as usual for AVA. It is actually on Friday. So next Friday, Irvin Hayes, who's actually one of Lauren's colleagues, is going to be joining us next Friday at 10 a.m. for what's new in Vault 2018. So definitely stay tuned for that. So yeah, if we didn't get to your question, I'll definitely go ahead and follow up afterwards. We're running a little long on time here. And some of these questions will take a little bit longer to answer. So again, thank you all for being here today. Lauren, thanks for joining us again.
No, I appreciate it. And again, thank you everybody for your time, and definitely thank you for being Autodesk and Inventor customers. Very much appreciated.
Yep, we'll see you for the next Inventor update for sure. So we'll see you all next Friday, and everyone have a great weekend. Bye.